political left and the mainstream media, of course, want to make this hurricane political. They try to make everything political. They're saying, oh, this is a test for DeSantis. Maybe DeSantis will fail this test. They're already trying to compare DeSantis, even before the hurricane has happened, before DeSantis has responded to an event that hasn't yet actually happened. They're trying to compare DeSantis and Hurricane Ian to Bush and Hurricane Katrina. Well, the mainstream media is very desperate, and that's why they do this. But DeSantis has been totally fine. He's been governor of Florida for several years. He's handled other environmental issues or natural disasters. And he's been totally fine, which the left knows is probably why the only criticism The View could concoct is to criticize old quotes from DeSantis in which he said that he was not sitting in the pew of the climate change church.
This is the quote from Governor DeSantis about climate change. Quote, I am not in the pews of the church of the global warming leftists. This is what he thinks about climate change. And now his state is getting hit with one of the worst hurricanes that they will ever see.
So, first of all, the only people that are politicizing this hurricane are the left. The only politicians who are trying to blame other politicians for an act of nature are leftist politicians. But what the View is doing here is, I mean, I don't have a high expectation for the arguments from the ladies on The View, but what they're doing is they're engaging in a rhetorical fallacy. They are conflating the science of climate, environmental science, with the proposed political policies. Now, those are two very different things. You can look at the climate of our Earth and you can say, yeah, there's incremental changes and there are cyclical changes and maybe even there's a gradual warming of the surface temperature of the Earth. That may be true. But you can acknowledge that. And then separately, you can say, okay, well, here's the reality of what we're facing. How do we, as a political entity, meaning the government of the United States, how do we respond to this? What's the proper prescription for this? Is there anything that we can do? Should we be doing anything? And if so, what should we do? And what the left does, what the ladies on The View do, is they like to pretend that if you and I sit here and say, well, we certainly don't want to pass the Green New Deal in response to incremental warming of the temperature, the surface temperatures of the Earth. If we don't want to pass the Green New Deal, we don't want to pass Medicare for all, we don't want to turn the United States into a nation that doesn't eat meat, but instead eats bugs in the name of climate change, that is prohibited from driving gas-powered cars and uses only windmills for energy and faces rolling blackouts. If we don't want those political policies in response to the incremental warming of the surface of the Earth, then we are called climate change deniers. So what DeSantis was doing, of course, is he was saying, well, no, I don't treat political policy as the gospel. I don't treat politicians and the policies that they propose as a scientific law, because it's not. They're political policies, and coincidentally, political policies that just happen to align with the radical leftist Marxist policy desires that the left already held outside of climate change.